Well, welcome back, DIY car guys and car girls, and I have something special for you guys today. We're going to have 3 different carburetors, and 2 of them are from really manufactured from the same company. One's built, put together by a different builder. I'm not going to go in builders and all that. It's not really a big deal, but I wasn't planning on picking up another 950 carburetor until I learned a little more about the company and who they were before and who they are now. And the prices that they have, I just had to express to you guys, it's pretty darn good. I mean, you can't beat the prices of this E85 carb. If you had a stick that was built just to beat shit with, you really couldn't beat it. And there it is. I definitely have an army of carburetors, but by far, this carburetor right here has been the best out the box out of any E85 carburetor that I've had that works for the street. You guys know me, I'd like a carburetor that works on the street. Now, here's one thing. You can build a carburetor that just works good by pulling up to the line and flooring it and getting off the throttle if it's a track car. And you may think that's the best thing known to mankind if you're just doing that. But remember, tuning to wide open throttle is one thing, but tuning to all conditions is where it gets a little more tricky. This one, pretty darn good. Like I said before, I am more of a street guy. I like to drive it in all conditions. So I want a carburetor that works good, not only at the track, but it has to work good putting around town and looking for V6 Chargers and Mustangs to whoop up on. So that's what we're talking about today. This is by far the least inexpensive, best bang for your buck carburetor that mankind has put together compared to these guys. This one I do think is a little too small because if this one, if you notice, the parts are pretty much exactly like that one, right? Okay, so if that one was a 950, I probably wouldn't be using this one right here. So this one will now be on this guy over here with, oh wait, you probably noticed this. What is this? It's a Supercharger. I was very, very lucky to get this, guys. I'm not gonna lie. The gentleman who gifted this to me, I can't mention any names, but I'm just gonna call him my fairy godfather. And in honor of my fairy godfather, this will not go on this motor. It will be going on the LT Junk 12.0 compression. I have to change a lot of things, so it'll be a while until we get there. We'll mock it all up on this. This might look a little bad, but really this blower is in good shape. I'm gonna take it apart and just clean it, reseal it. This is just, he had problems with it because this came off of a older LT1 car. It kept throwing belts. So I'm gonna get, for this LT1, I need to get the bracketry for a small block Chevy. We'll stick that on there so it won't throw belts. And we're gonna take this carburetor and we're gonna convert it into a blow through, which is, this is an 850, but right here the Venturas, which we'll talk about, are the exact same size as my 750 right there. I think this guy right here is going to be excellent as a blow through for the LT Junk right there. So let's talk about this guy right here. First, I want to show you guys the price. You ready? Okay, that is the price shipped. This is nothing special. Remember, I'm not sponsored by anybody, any of these people. So all this is on my dime, my expense to, to help you guys out. $669 shipped for an E85 carburetor. That's impressive. So let's talk about ATM. I'm not gonna get any names, get specific, because they told me everything about the company, and truthfully, I forgot. So I'm gonna keep it vague. I do have some notes right here, but it's actually a pretty cool story. Quick Fuel, as you guys know, was purchased by the same firm that now owns Holley. I want to make sure I got that right, because that's the way they told me to say it. So the original owner of Quick Fuel, he's an older gentleman, and the way I was talking to people there, you know, they used to really be passionate. I mean, they actually were. The people who work there, they're very, very passionate about their products. They like to have quality. They like to have quality that everyone can afford. And that's what Quick Fuel was primarily formed off of, was that gentleman. So he got older, and like I said, he sold to the firm that purchased Holley. So now, you know, you look at Holley, you know, Quick Fuel, which was a brawler. If you open up a brawler, you'll see that it says Quick Fuel right there on the bolts. So they purchased that. So the children of that gentleman, they wanted to get back into the carb game, so they created ATM. And one of the gentlemen who, so they created ATM, which is, they said, is like literally up the road from where, you know, Quick Fuel used to be, or where the firm that now owns Holley is now. So they want to get back into it because, and they want to stay smaller, and that's why their prices, you know, you might see the price, be like, oh, it's probably junk. It's really not. I mean, that carburetor right there works great. I can't, I mean, because I've had one problem I've had with Holley recently is you get a carburetor, like when I got the Quick Fuel and other things, this, you have to take it apart and put it back together for sometimes it to work correctly. And I, like, you know, if I bought it and I'm putting on someone's car, I don't have the time to take it apart, and usually they do work pretty good. But when I've taken those carburetors apart, especially the XP, the quality control is just not there. I take it apart, clean it, and they put it back together, and then it works great. One thing that I appreciate with ATM, when I got their carburetor, I didn't take it completely apart. I take it apart, like the bowls off. I'll look at the metering blocks, the base plate. I'll look at the boosters, and they were all very good. Like I didn't need to, like, you know, go in there and clean anything out. Everything was just how I wanted it to be. So I just changed a couple of things. The only thing I changed on it from when I took it out of the box was I put on my 1-to-1 linkage, which is the same thing that these guys come with right here. And I moved it to the, there's a up the top is a more progressive, in the middle, almost 1-to-1, very, very bottom is 1-to-1. So I always put mine on the second to the most aggressive, which isn't quite 1-to-1, but it's very close to 1-to-1, because that's where I like it to be. Other motors, if you have a dual plane, it's not as aggressive, you don't need that. But if you have really big, you know, cam, you have a really big converter, it's going to skyrocket your RPM, so you really need to open up, like, you know, really soon. That's just what I have for my motors. Yours may be different. Anyways, so what I like about their products is it's actually a very good product. It's the same stuff that's basically on this carburetor right here, which is all ATM components. You guys might have seen this. You probably know who it's from. Not going to get into that. Don't care. But when I was talking to Doug over at ATM and everyone else, they don't get mixed up in he said, she said stuff. If anyone wants to buy their kits, you can buy their kits. You can put them together yourself. They don't care. But if you want to buy their carburetors, they're not trying to mark them up a whole bunch. They just want to produce quality products that the regular guys can afford, which is people like me. And I really appreciate that. So let's get into this ATM carburetor over here, and I'll tell you exactly how it's a little different from this one and how it's not different from that one. But I'll all in all, it's working really good out the box. Okay, so basically all I did was take the front metering block off, and I put it right here to compare, just so you guys can see this. I'm not trying to poo-poo on anyone, just know this. But like I said before, this, for that price, it is like impossible to beat. It really is. Now, ATM does have a billet, but when I say billet, I do mean it has a billet base plate and billet metering blocks right here. So for $100 more, ATM can give you one like that. I went for the least expensive one right here, but they do offer one that has billet metering blocks and base plate, and their metering blocks are completely adjustable from the restrictions, from the main wheels and everything else like that, just like the Holley is right here. This is the cast version, but it is coated with this I guess it's some type of corrosion resistance anodizing or whatever it is. So in a nutshell, this carburetor and this carburetor are identical except for a couple of small variations. And this is, you know, remember, a builder has to put his hands on here, and he has it in a kit, he assembles it. I mean, so do they too, but yeah, I won't get into that, but if you want someone to build it and put it together for your specifications, or you can order one off the shelf things that they have right here. But the cool thing about this is, when I called ATM up, I was like, hey, can you guys give me a 50cc accelerator pump in the front too? And they were like, no problem, we got you. So they shipped me a carburetor just how I asked it to be, which was awesome. Didn't charge me any more than their off-the-shelf price for a carburetor. I'd give that a thumbs up. And one more thing I like about the ATM carburetor before we start this up, well, we'll do some tuning on this carburetor. If it's so close, it's not going to take much, guys, to get this thing perfect. But they give you a little smaller head on the bolts for your bowls, which is nice because it's easier to get past all this stuff with a smaller head on there, which I really like. That's excellent. All right, so we'll go ahead and start it up. I've already started it up off camera. That's because I always spray these guys with WD-40, and I want to get most of the smoke out of here. I spray them with WD-40 so that way they don't turn into big things of rust. So that's why I do that. You don't have to. You can let yours rust, but if you just spray WD-40 on there, start it up, they smoke, burns off, it's good. So we'll go ahead and start it up, and I'm not going to take it on the street today, but we'll at least start it up. I'll rev it for you. Everyone wants to hear that stuff, hear how responsive it is sitting there in your garage for some reason. Like, oh, it sounds great, man, it's hitting. It really only matters around the street. But I'll go ahead and do that for you guys. In the next video, I won't touch it. The next video, we'll go over to some of the minor changes that I'm going to do to this to get it to be completely dialed in for the street. I think it just needs bigger discharge nozzles, maybe a little bit of adjustment to the idle speed here and there, but the jetting's perfect. I really don't got to touch that at all. The jetting was perfect with this guy out the box, at least for the conditions I was in a couple of days ago. So let's go ahead and start it up, and I'll just see how it sounds. So yeah, starts up good, idles good. I mean, for the price, and you'll see when I get on it, it's pretty hard to beat. So that's my initial review on this ATM carburetor. You'll be really hard pressed to find something as good as that for the money. Till next time, guys, we'll take it out the street and do some rips. Keep on wrenching. Peace.